people, all expected people are here, so we can start. So, and I also will start the recording from my side. Just a moment. So, welcome everybody to this event about diversity, inclusion, and equal opportunities. I am Alessandra Mazzei, and I am the director of the Center for Employee Relations and Communication at IULM University. I also am the teacher for internal communication and change management. Welcome everybody to this event that is born from the collaboration among several actors here at IULM University, the Rector's Delegate for Equal Opportunity, the Center for Employee Relations and Communication, and IULM Flow. This open event is also dedicated to our large community of stakeholders. First of all, our students attending the internal communication change and change management course, but also all the IULM University students community. Also, this event is opened to other students from other universities and other countries. And also, we have with us professionals and managers interested in this topic. So thank you all for collaborating in organizing this event, and thank you to all participants and attendees to this event. Before going ahead, I'd like to give the stage to Professor Vanessa Gemmo, that is the Rector's Delegate for Equal Opportunity at our university.
Thank Alessandra, thank Professor Mazzei. So I'm here and I'm happy to be here as delegate of director for equal opportunities because I would like to underline the strong commitment of our university, of our rector, to these topics that are more and more important, and we think that the role of the university can be extremely important in stimulating a debate on these topics. So the principles of equity, of equality, of inclusion, and of equal opportunities are sorry, microphone. So are extremely important and are some of the strategic pillars of our university. We think that our effort can be defined into two main directions. So first of all, we have committed to fight against any type of discrimination based on gender identity, based on sexual orientation, based on age, based on ethnicity. And we are aware that more and more these type of discrimination are sources of violence and abuse. Yesterday it was the International Day Against Women's Violence, and so we are more and more aware of these topics that must be faced in a public debate. And so for this reason we are here. We have committed to fight against this type of violence, but we are also committed to stimulate a debate on these topics. And this is the reason of these three workshops. Our intention is to open a debate, to ask people to participate in a discussion that is open to our students, but also it is open to professors, to university employees, to external people that can help the discussion and that can give us a different perspective. So for this reason, we, with Professor Mazzei, we described a cycle of 3 events, and today we are here in order to listen to an inspired and inspiring approach by Vodafone. So I thank Alessandra Terrucci for being here, because we think that this role of the university in allowing people sharing their experiences and their different perspective is extremely important. So I would like to thank again Alessandra Terrucci for being here and Vodafone, and also the other colleagues, Professor Quaratino and Ravazzani, that will discuss with us about these topics. So thanks everybody for being here, and again, I hope that this can be something inspiring for everybody.
Thank you so much, Professor Gemmo. And now the stage to Gabriele from the International Mobility Office at our university.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Professor Mazzei, for introducing me. Just a couple of words before we start with these very interesting lectures that is ahead of us. So how will be this afternoon structured? So we will have this first lecture that is carried out, of course, by Professor Mazzei and Professor Gemmo, that is focused on diversity and inclusion, Vodafone Italia, a history of commitment. Then a short break will follow, a very short one. And then the second lecture will start at 4:45 with Professor Andrea Miconi. So something very important for students who are following us through YouTube is that they can write their questions, doubts, or comments on the chat box they will find on YouTube, so that we will share them with the professors and we can have a fruitful discussion. So this is, as I was mentioning before, the second day dedicated to the International Autumn School organized by IULM University as part of the project of IULM Flow, which is focused on communication. So communication on every different aspect that can be understood under this concept. So I wanted just to be short, and I will also take a look at the chat, and so enjoy the lesson and thank you. So the floor is yours, professors.
Thank you, Gabriele. From what Gabriele said, it's clear that there are the first part of this session from 3 o'clock to 4:30 is for students from the internal communication and change management course, while students that are following us coming from IULM Flow will continue with the second part at 4:30. So thank you, Gabriele. And now I'd like to introduce the agenda of this first part of the lesson and our guest. So this is our agenda for this first part of the event, a very intense agenda. We will have Alessandra Terrucci from Vodafone Italy. She is the internal communication manager at Vodafone Italy. And therefore, to start the discussion and conversation with our public and audience, we will have as discussants Professor Luca Quaratino and Professor Silvia Ravazzani. Alessandra, thank you, Luca. We saw you in the video for a moment. And Alessandra, the stage is yours. I know that you have some slides, so
yes,
if you can
good afternoon,
share.
Alessandra.
Thank you
good afternoon,
so much
Vanessa.
for being with us.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for inviting me, and good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you today. Now, give me 1 second that I go through my presentation that will help us to follow the speech. Can you see it properly?
Yes, we see it properly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm Alessandra Teruggi, and as Alessandra was saying, I'm the Internal Communication Manager in Vodafone. And today I would like to bring you through the journey that Vodafone has done in this year about the diversity and inclusion topic. And because of yesterday was an important day, the 25th of November is the International Day against about the violence against women. We want today to be focused on women and gender. So for starting, to bring you through our, before starting, I would like, I'm sure you know Vodafone, but I would like to bring you to a couple of slides about Vodafone, both in Italy and around the world. So Vodafone, as you know, is a leading telecommunication company focused in the last year in Europe and Africa, is the largest mobile and fixed network operator in Europe, and is the world's largest IoT connectivity provider. When we speak about IoT, we mean Internet of Things. That means all the objects that speak with each other thanks to a SIM. Our M-Pesa technology platform in Africa enables over 42 million people to benefit from access to mobile payments and financial services. We operate mobile and fixed networks in 22 countries, and we have a partnership agreement in other 48. So this is related to Vodafone Group. Going to Vodafone Italy, Vodafone offers its customer product and services based on the quality and power of our Giga network. The fiber services reach over 24.2 million, both consumer customer and business customer. That means big company, medium company, and little company. The 5G network is available nowadays in 5 cities, Milan, Turin, Bologna, Rome, and Naples, and in 28 municipalities in the Milan metropolitan area. The 5G networks, as the Italian friend know, is one of our main technology. Is not simply a mobile or fixed network technology, but is really something that will help us to jump into the future connectivity. And in Italy, we have 6,000 employees. It's just a fast overview, simply for giving you the idea about the dimension of the company. So now let's go through our topic, that is the diversity and inclusion journey. As you see from the title of my presentation, we are proud to speak about history, because our path started years ago. I started, when I was thinking about the presentation, I said, I want to give a point, because actually our history started even before 2015. But in 2015, we had we really did a strong program, a focused program on this topic. So we will we'll go through the D&I in Vodafone Italy, Then we will pass through the inclusion agenda that for us has been a very strong internal communication project. Then I will bring you through our gender equality policy. And then we will close up speaking about the domestic violence and abuse policy, and also about all, I will tell you about all the initiative that we had implemented for the 25th of November. So let's go strictly to our first topic. Our commitment started in 2000, a strong commitment in 2015, and in the last strategical framework of Vodafone, you can see that inclusion for all is inside the framework. So nowadays, this is the framework that is valid both for Vodafone Group and for all the country belonging to Vodafone and for Vodafone Italy, as three main drivers. One is the digital society. The second is inclusion for all. That is the one we will be focused on today. And the third is planet. I think that is important to start to share this type of content, because it's not exactly granted that is in a company the inclusion for all is inserted in the strategical framework. This means that there is a strong commitment of the company about this topic. So going forward, I will start to tell you, we will go briefly, then of course if you want to go deeper about some topics, we will have for sure the chance to do it. I give you here a couple of examples that show how our was a real commitment and not only a maquillage. So what did we do? I start from these two events. Of course, the events are only, let's say, a part of the strategical path of a company, because when you are focused on a topic, of course, all your internal communication touch point. Now, okay, also we are speaking about internal communication, but honestly, our communication plan also always integrated. So we work 4 hands, 6 hands with media relation and also brand. Today I will be focused on internal communication. So the event is one part, then afterwards we will see other initiatives, not only the events, of course, but these are 2 events we are particularly proud of. One took place in 2015 and was a TEDx Milano Women. This was one of the TEDx with women in Italy in 2015. In States and abroad already started, but in Italy we were one of the first to be focused on women, exactly starting from the assumption that women and girls are promoter and creator of change. So during this event, we invited academical professor, lawyer, entrepreneur, startup, cook, fashion designer, a lot of representative of the women representative of the different sector. And our aim, our scope was exactly to show how when women are supported by a system that believe in them, the result can be very strong. So in parallel to our gender policy, implementing event like this was really successful and was really a strong message for the employees. So let's go to the second event. The second event took place 1 year after, was 2016, and the name of event was E for She. Actually, the name wasn't the event name, but was the name of a UN program that was launched in States exactly that in US that year. And our CEO, group CEO of that time, that was in Italian, maybe some of you knows him, is Vittorio Colau, was one of the ambassador of this program. That was exactly a program with a very specific aim to create a network with men that believe on the power and the role of women in the world. So it's an interesting perspective, because it's exactly, I mean, it starts from the assumption that for jumping in a new era where the gender, the women as a real concrete role, the men, of course, should be supportive. Is a conquer that should be done together. Here you can see, I don't know if you can read, actually, I will read it for you, a sentence, a statement of our CEO about the initiative. So it says, Vodafone support IFOSHI because we believe that both women and men are critical to achieving gender equality and promoting women's empowerment. Help us to reach the IFOSHI target of 1 billion men. I'm one of billions of men who believe equality for women is a basic human right that benefits us all. And I commit, that you see there is always this term, commit, to taking action against gender discrimination and violence in order to build a more just and equal world. So this was the statement that became a kind of copy for us in our communication. In this event, again, we invited people from the institution, from big corporate, from of course the main important academic institute, not only in Milan, and of course all the Vodafone employees, some of them in person and some of them connected. So it has been an important, this one was also an important event in terms of the strong commitment that the company was taking about this topic. In that occasion, it was the 8th of March of 2016, during the celebration of women all around the world. Our local CEO took the chance from the group CEO and said, in the coming months, I will arrange a roadshow all around the main, all around the region, our main offices all around Italy, and I will go to listen to women for better understand which is the situation in Italy. When we started to work on the topic, then we realized that probably was a pity to arrange a roadshow only with a single focus, that was the gender. So we decided that of course the gender was an important focus, but we wanted to take the opportunity to go deeper also about other important stream of the diversity and inclusion framework. And then I will show you which was this other stream. The name of the roadshow was Un Passo Avanti in Italian, that in English is one step forward. That was a symbolic title that worked a lot. Also, we did a lot of video and leaflet and panels, so we could work on this type of communication framework for a couple of years, from 2016 till 2018. So now I would like to go through the other stream that we wanted to be focused on. The first one, and you see, was the gender equality between men and women. The second one was the respect for sexual orientation, whatever it is. The third one was the generation. That I think I should go a little bit deeper about the generation, because maybe it's not so much intuitive for you. Why for us the generation could be put at the same level at of gender and sexual orientation. Was put at the same level because that time we were on the market since 20 years. We were hiring a lot of young people. So we had a situation internally, particular, where, for example, was happening that people around 40, 45 years started to have their direct report, the manager, that was definitely younger than them. There was a strong focus on the young hiremen, and so we had some internal problems. So the generation started to become for us a topic to be focused on for create the best environment for young and senior people to work together. The fourth one was background. That means the capacity to include people with experiences from other branches. When you will start to work in the company, you will realize that very, very often it happens that people working in telecommunication bring higher people coming from telecommunication. People working in food and beverage, hire people coming from food and beverage, in chemical industry, the same, and so on. So sometimes it happens that when someone comes from another industry, there is a kind of cultural gap, and this person doesn't feel exactly accepted by this strong culture. So again, we had this type of problem. Not, of course, not so general, but in some cases. So we took the advantage to go through also this topic. So gender, sexual orientation, generation, and background. We invited the person. Now I go fast, but I have some images that give you the feeling about the atmosphere that we wanted to create. As you see, was a very interactive atmosphere. This guy speaking on the stage is our CEO, and the girl with the yellow shirt was our HR director. They were handling the speech at the beginning of the workshop. They were explaining people why we wanted to bring them on board on our diversity and inclusion agenda. Then they were going out. People, you see the round table was working together on the topic. After the work, you see here, they were writing and structuring their hints, their suggestion. After the workshop that was lasting 2 hours, they were all divided in group. One of them, you see here on the stage, or two, were presenting the results. We collected all the result of the workshop in each country, and then on the basis of that hints, that was a very big job also done by people in a day. Of course, the workshop took 1 week. We came out with the inclusion agenda. That was a kind of manifesto, a kind of synthesis of people. So it was a bottom-up project. People want to see the culture, the corporate culture they were working in. So I will go through the agenda. It's very short because I'm not sure that you can read exactly from the slide. So we say we welcome different ways of being in our company, and we give them citizenship. We believe in inclusion because different points of view enhance change. We defend and promote diversities in order to better understand our customer diversities and the world around us. We assess our people only on merit, not on gender, age, origin, sexual orientation, race, religion, or disability. We promote and give value to different leadership style. There is not just one way to be a leader. So this manifesto, of course, as you can imagine, has been the core of a very strong internal campaign, and if some of you will have the chance one day to come to visit us, you will see that is still all around our corridor, and so is still really how can I say, a strong message to people about our culture and about our commitment on the inclusivity. So I go to another topic, that is the gender equality. What have we done in terms of gender equality? Of course, the initiative has been a lot. I pick up the one that I consider the main valuable, and also the one that really make a difference for women inside the company. So, of course, the maternity leave policy is the principal initiative. In Italy, when you give birth, you have 4 months and a half of maternity leave, and you are paid for half and a half months. And in Vodafone, we decided to extend till 9 months the maternity leave at a full salary. So I think that this is a very strong message, because as everyone knows, to go back to work when you have a kid of 4 months is not exactly easy. If you go back when he is or she is 9 months, of course, is definitely easier, because they start to go also to the baby garden. That is definitely easier for the mother. So this is, of course, an initiative that is definitely appreciated, and that started definitely before 2015. And another policy we are really proud of, this is new, is it has been officialized in 2020, is the parental leave dedicated to the colleagues who become parents, so both men or women, following birth, adoption, or surrogacy in Italy or abroad, and who cannot access to the maternity treatment provided by law. So this, I think, is a very strong step up, because in terms of really, how can I say, social evolution. Still speaking about the gender equality, we have been also focused on the smart working. The smart working actually has been launched in 2014 for all people in the organization. So when COVID started in March, we were prepared. This has been something that really helped us on handling all the, let's say, mess that happened in the organization. We were ready, let's say. But specifically on moms and dad, we defined something dedicated. And so instead of giving only one day per week of smart working, we give to the parents that had kids within the 18 months of the kids 2 days per week. This has been an initiative come out from the workshop, during the roadshow, the Un Passo Avanti roadshow, and of course has been something that people really appreciated, because it was really helpful. It's still really helpful for them to handle the first period of the kids. In the competence center, when we speak about the competence center, we speak about the call center. That means the part of the organization that answer to the customer request. Of course, we couldn't give the smart working because all the technical tool didn't allow this type of process that time, because actually after COVID something changed. But we also wanted to give attention also to this type of population, doing something consistent for what we did for the other employee. And so we defined facilitated worship. It means that the parents within the 30 months of the child could choose the shift that better fit to their daily life. So typically they didn't take the first one in the morning or the last one in the night. And then another gender equality initiative, the third one I want to talk to you about, that was about the managerial position. And also I want to tell you about a program that I think is particularly interesting when we want, I mean, if you want to be focused on gender and women. And this program was structured in this way. The CEO himself gave to all his manager a strong commitment with the deadline that was a 1 year deadline, and the commitment was to hire at least one more female. I know that some people maybe cannot agree about this type of approach, because they say you should always choose the best and not give the let's say pink quote. But at the end, if you understand that there is really a cultural bias, let's say, that doesn't let you do this type of step, if you give such a strong input, then you get the result. And in fact, we did it, because we reached nearly the 40% of women in managerial position in Italy. At a global level was a little bit lower, but in some country was even higher. So it means that at the end was a very, very effective program. And we are really proud that we are definitely up the average of Italy. The other project I would like to tell you about is the Reconnect program that was related to the reintegration into the work of women that have lost their jobs. So typically was women after 35 that for different reasons, not only for family reason, for different reason lost the job. We gave them the opportunity to candidate themselves and be hired again. And then we can come, I think that we are on time, to the last topic. I would like...
We are perfectly on time.
Thank you, Alessandra, thank you. So the last topic I would like to bring you through is the topic we were telling you about, that is related to the 25th of November, that was the International Day Against Women's Violence. I think that also on this topic, in the last couple of years, let's say, we did a lot. Here you see the invitation on the left of the event that took place yesterday. This was an internal event, so dedicated only to employees. Of course, in other period of the year, we were also developing event also for external customer, media, and so on. This one was dedicated to the internal population. We invited the president of Foundation of Vodafone Italy, Ilaria Dalla Riva, that is our HR director, Alessandra Simone, that is the first director of policy in Italy, and then Antonella Napoli, that is a writer and journalist, that has been persecuted because of his article about some delicate topics in Sudan and in Central America, and Annie Mazzola, that is an influencer that was involved by us about this Chiedo per un'amica, Ask for a Friend initiative that we launched on social, mainly Instagram, in the last couple of weeks. It has been a very effective event. A lot of employees participated. We had a strong feedback because we stream the event on our internal platform. So in direct streaming, they were commenting, and really the effect was really positive, and people really appreciated our commitment on this topic. Here you see on the right the speech of Alessandra Simone during the event. So what we did the event, as I was telling you, but we did another important thing, that is the implementation of a domestic violence and abuse policy. And this is not a local, is a group. So this policy has been implemented in all the 22 countries in Italy since the beginning of the year, has been launched exactly 1 year ago. And there are some really important points in this policy that are, if a person, a woman, has living this type of problem, we give her 15 days of paid leave, so she can have her time to arrange, all the critical stuff that a person in that situation can handle. The security operation of the company can support her in order to formally report the violence or abuse to the police. And also we help the women, the colleagues that are impacted by violence, to get in touch with the organization that can provide the support from a psychological point of view, but not only, of course, also in terms of houses and economical support. I think that this has been a really strong step forward, and of course, as you can imagine, this policy has been really appreciated. Now we are creating also a network with other company all around Italy. We started in July, and now the network is really growing. Our aim is really to try to create the sensitivity also in other contexts about this topic, and about the importance of the implementation of a policy similar to this one. Also, we did another initiative, so the internal event, the policy, and also, as I was telling you, a social campaign. Has been an interesting social campaign. Of course, we wanted to reach the target of the young women, and the name of the initiative was hashtag I ask for a friend. As you know, is the typical way when you post something on the social network to say I'm asking for a friend. You don't speak personally, but of course everyone knows that is a way of saying, but is simply a way of saying, and the feedback has been, unfortunately, I can say, really strong, because we are collecting all the posts that the women, young women, not only young, did to this 4 influencer. And now we are really having the pulse of the situation. Also, during the event yesterday, we had an employee that did outing. So exactly during the event, she came out saying, "I'm exactly in a situation of abuse at home, so I really need help." Just for giving you how this initiative can also help people to speak and to feel confident to ask for help. So, I mean, these are all the topics I wanted to go through. It's been only I mean, I think it has been the main path is only a part. We are proud to say that we did also a lot of other initiatives. But of course, if some of you is interesting on maybe go through other topic, we will be really happy to give you feedback and to go deeper. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alessandra, to you for this really interesting presentation and for sharing with us all this interesting history and your experiences. Yes, now it's time for questions and answers. There are a couple of questions already in the chat, but I beg the pardon of our audience. Before giving voice to our audience, I'd like to ask to our formal discussions to do the ice breaking, let's say. So Professor Ravazzani and Professor Quaratino, of course, ladies first. So Professor Ravazzani, are you here? We cannot see you.
I have the video on. So I hope you can see.
Alessandra, may I ask if maybe you can hide your slides? Okay, yes. Silvia, now we can see you. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
And Professor Ravazzani is a professor, of course, in corporate communication, and also she is an expert in the diversity and inclusion topic. Silvia, thoughts, comments, questions?
Yeah, sure. Well, hello everybody, and thank you, Alessandra, for your very interesting presentation. It's really, it was very dense with a lot of initiatives you implement. So a very long history of Vodafone commitment to diversity and inclusion. It was also nice to hear that Italy was one of the first actually to promote change about gender issues, which is again nice to hear. And also, apart from gender, you have a very broad inclusion agenda, and also in the manifesto we could see not just gender, sexual orientation, generation, background, and so on and so forth. So it's really a rich variety of activities and dimensions that you address. I actually have several questions and curiosities, but I will try just to ask one of these, and then let's see if we have more time. I was just curious because you said, for example, for smart working, this was, launched back in 2014, but we know, especially this year, it's what everyone has to do for because of this pandemic. And another focus area is domestic violence, which unfortunately it's another area which is growing in these months because of always this pandemic. So my question is more about the future. So you have this agenda, this broad variety of diversities, but do you anticipate an increased effort and commitment of Vodafone, especially in these areas of smart working and domestic violence, also in the post-COVID-19?
So thank you, Silvia. So about the smart working, definitely yes. I think that we are really coping with a kind of revolution in terms of organization of work, because I really can say that we are not going back to the point, because we already, as a company, signed an agreement with the trade union on the basis of when the emergency, the pandemic COVID emergency will be end over, we will go back to working on shift regularly. So we will go back 2 days working in the office and 3 days from home. So the smart working is gonna be completely embedded in the organization. And this not only in Italy, but in each Vodafone country. With the, of course, each country has some specific agreement. Of course, as you know, in Italy, in Germany, the trade union has a strong role. So we go in a path, in some other country in a different path in terms of timing and organization. But in general, the way of working is really changing. Of course, the digitalization is helping us in a strong way. For example, in Vodafone, we are working in smart working since March. We never go back. We are still all working from home. Also, the people in the call center, it took a month to do the remotization for all of them, but starting from April, also the 3,000 colleagues from the call center are working in this way. And in that case, the smart working is going to be even stronger. They will go back work 1 day and 4 days from home. So is a very, very big change. The COVID is an acceleration of changing in the world. The digitalization, of course, is helping in a strong way. Probably 30 years ago, we couldn't, we have lived a completely different situation. We are in a path of a strong change.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know if you can ask another question. It's more a curiosity, or maybe Professor Quaratino go first.
Yeah, if you agree, as I see in the chat arriving the questions,
okay, I'll be mindful
to save time for our audience. Maybe if we have time. Thank you, Silvia, for understanding.
Thank you, Alessandra.
And now the word to Luca Quaratino, that is professor of organization theory and organizational behavior. Luca.
Okay, 2 small questions for 2 small answers. First of all, Alessandra, I know that as far as concerns my experience with your company, which goes back to some years ago, your company has a tradition of being a company of hard workers, people always connected, working through huge shifts, long hours. So I was wondering, how does it fit a more balanced approach, which is behind what you have told us today? Time for kids, time for the family. I think it's a challenge. And the other small question is, what about the male colleagues' reaction? Which was the perception of your male colleagues about all these initiatives and investments you are making on the gender issue? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Luca. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. So you touch a really sensitive point, because now the work-life balance is an issue on the table, because we were really hard worker before, and now, in fact, with the smart working is in one way is even worse. And the point is this, that before, of course, the organization of your life was settled down on a defined rules. Now, not anymore, because of course you are at home, so you can't create, the mix between the private and professional life, of course, is definitely stronger. The kids come back from school, they can't go out because of the COVID and whatever, and you work till late with the kids at home. This is a situation that we are living. So now we are all aware, the HR department, the company is aware about this stuff. We started to define some guideline about the right to be disconnected. So we officialized that the time for work is from 9 till 7 in the night. As internal communication department also, we start at 9 till 7, maximum actually if I can till 6, and then afterwards we don't put meeting, we don't implement communication and whatever. We are asking people to do meeting instead of 1 hour, about 45 minutes, instead of half an hour of 20 minutes. And also we are implementing new tools for, you know, sharing content, sharing initiative. We are giving rules about the way to handle the meeting, but is a path. I should be honest, because of course is a message when you say I want to be clear on telling you that you should have you know, your break and whatever, but then, as you know, if you have stuff to do. So I think that this is the critical topics we will go through in the coming months. And coming to your second question about the mail. Actually, I really can say, I don't know what happened in the cafeteria, so I don't know what the men was saying to each other about.
When they went to the football game.
Exactly. So probably some of them was a little bit disappointed about the focus on women, but in general, I can say that there was such a strong commitment from the top management, and Vittorio Colau and Aldo Bisio are both men, that of course, you know, in an organization, the hierarchy has also this type of role in terms of values, transmission and whatever. So I really can say that they were against, and I can say something nice. We were really happy and proud yesterday about that during the live streaming of our event about the violence, a lot of colleagues were connected, men colleagues. Actually, our expectation was to have only women, but you know, now you see everything because we have Facebook for business, so you see the comment, you see the name and whatever, and it was full of men.
Thank you so much.
Full of men, father of girls, I can say.
Yeah.
Probably the sensitivity is stronger, but we recognize because they were writing something. But at the end, there was a lot of men, so we were really happy about that.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Luca.
Thanks a lot. If you agree now, I'd like to read for Alessandra Teruggi some questions that arrived through our chat. The first one is related to the topic of the age. Alessandra, you told us one of your one of the issue that you took into account is the differences between generations. So the question is, do you see any differences of approach towards this theme between young people and those who are a bit older? If I understand, the question is if the generation issue is perceived in a different way between young and older people.
Yeah, honestly, it was an issue for senior people, not for the younger, because of course the younger, I mean, arrive in a company with such a strong energy, they have also strong background, so of course they don't, you know, also at 25, 26, even if you are particularly smart, you are not exactly aware about this type of dynamics. The point was that we had problem with senior people, maybe, you know, in network operation, people with the strong experience, with the, of course, the knowing, the knowledge of the company very high, but maybe not with the managerial skills for do a step for one more step in terms of career. And so for them was really frustrating to see a young person coming, or of course they were recognized in the background of they were engineer or whatever. So now I'm taking this example because we have a lot of people working in the field, so this is a concrete example. But of course, to have you know, your chief that is 20 years younger than you was really creating a kind of frustrating feeling. So what we started to do was really to create a kind of program for creating occasion of sharing, of you know, I mean, what we wanted to transmit to both of them was the fact that both of them has the opportunity to bring something from each other. Probably the young from the experience and the knowledge of the senior, and maybe the senior from the digital skills. For example, 5 years ago, there was a higher gap, because now the digitalization is entering into the house of all of us. So also all the people are getting even more confident with the digitalization, but till 5-6 years ago it wasn't exactly like this. So for example, we created this type of program, and we create a group of young people with the digital skills that were available for senior people to help them on digitalization. We started from the CEO and the first line of the CEO, and then we spread it to all the colleagues in the different regions. This was, for example, something that was defined for helping this type of mix. I can say that that was a particularly period because we had a strong program, an employer branding program, and we hire, I think, 300 young people in a year. So was a big number. So the impact was strong. Now the balance is different. So it's not anymore a topic on the agenda, honestly.
Thank you, Alessandra. Another question is about the pay gap. This person asked what a company can do to reduce this pay gap between men and women.
Yes, I think, Alessandra, this is a very interesting question. I'm not handling this type of project, but I know in which way can be handled, because it was 3 years ago. The HR department was focused on that. As you know, in Italy, they say more or less the salary gap is around 30%. Then, of course, that is really high. Of course, considering the same position, then you should see this is the average. Probably in big and structured company is not so high. Probably in the middle and little company, is higher. But I mean, the official data are this. I read an article in this day, and of course you should define also in this case a specific program has been done in our case, and of course you should do a matching. You should take the position, see exactly who is the man, who is the woman in that position, handling the same job, which is the gap, and then start to work. Of course, you should put a cap on the man salary, and you should give incentive, and little you create a kind of balance. And of course, you should consider also the salary when you hire a person. When we hire a person for each position, actually we have a benchmark. So in Vodafone, but in the large company normally is like this. So you know which is the average of the market for that position. which is the higher salary and which is the lower. So normally you stay, you know, it depends. If he's younger, you can stay a little bit lower, so you have, you know, way to handle the recognition of the coming years. Of course, if he's a senior, probably you go to the higher part of the benchmark.
Thank you, Alessandra, and thank you for this relevant question. As according to me, the pay gap together with the glass ceiling are two issues absolutely relevant in organizations as far as concerned the gender topic. Another question, absolutely interesting, is, does Vodafone, so this is about Vodafone and what you are doing or what you can do, has any influence on the topic of gender equality in developing countries, for example, countries in Africa?
So this is a very good question, because of course all the program, I mean, Vodafone has the headquarters in UK, so is a British company. The guideline and the corporate initiative, let's say, I mean, come from UK and are spread all around the country. So in each 22 countries arrive exactly the same culture, the same approach, and the same, let's say, cultural sensitivity. Of course, we respect the specificity, the peculiarity and the characterization of the culture, the specific culture of the countries. So some topics in some country, of course, are embedded in a very, very easily way. In some other, honestly, the local management has a role on the implementation. Mostly is related to the sexual orientation, because of course we are present also in country where the topic of the sexual orientation is not exactly embedded in the organization. And of course, when I say sexual orientation, I mean, of course, the LGBT topic. But when there is a webinar group, of course, is streamed all around, the world. Of course, then the sensitivity could be different.
Thank you, Alessandra. Another question, maybe we already touched the point, but it's interesting, I think, to ask you the question as well. Here in Latin America, domestic violence and abuse percentages have increased due to the pandemic of COVID. Does it happen in Europe or Italy?
Thank you for the question, because it's really is a very important issue, this one. I don't have data about Europe, but I have data about Italy, because we work on this topic in these weeks while we were preparing the event, and my answer is yes. Also in Italy, during the pandemic, so we started in March to be locked down, and now in some region we are still, even if not so strong as in March and April, but we are still in lockdown. Let's say a lot of companies are closed, so people are working from home. And even if the number of murders is decreased, the number of women murder has been increased. So unfortunately, the lockdown, yes, had a strong impact on the cases of abuse and violence in the families, because at the end, the majority of cases are inside the family. And this is not only is not the only issue. The other issue is also in Italy, I'm saying about Italy because we have the data, is also the impact of the pandemic on the employment of women. It seems that the 80% of women that has been hired between 2018 and 2020 has lost the job. That is a really crazy percentage, 80%. Women, because the women are mostly working in tourism in Italy, restaurant, bar, hotels, shops, and whatever, because Italy is a strong touristic place. So really a crazy percentage lost job.
Really worrying data. But we are here today to talk about to this issue in order to raise awareness, because this is a worldwide problem, and we have to collaborate to do something in order to handling it. So another question, observation relates absolutely to this last point. And the question is, did you have any example of paradoxical working, of smart working, since there are a lot of women who go to the work to escape of abusing? As we said, that with the smart working, the number of abuses is growing. The observation is that there are a growing number of women that try to go to work in order.
This is a very interesting question that also gives me the chance to go through the last trade union agreement. In fact, because we are aware that for some people, not only because of abuse, but for other specific situation at home, maybe you live in a little house, or maybe with people with disability, maybe with old people. So for you, it's really difficult to handle your professional activity from home. You can do a request to the company, and the company allow you to choose the best way of working for you. So this is really an interesting flexibility. It's really an inclusive agreement. They really want to give people the chance to maintain a kind of also, freedom to handle the best framework for himself. So yes, if a woman will be in this condition and will ask, there will be the possibility, because at the end we will work on shift, but when on shift, on smart working, so 2 days at the office and 3 days from home, but the company will be always open, because maybe I will go Monday and Tuesday, and there will be another group that will go Wednesday and Thursday. So if you say, for personal reason, I need to go every day, you go.
Thank you, Alessandra. There are no other questions at the moment in the chat. So first, I will invite our audience, students that are connected via Teams. If they want to ask other questions, you can use also your microphones, or other people that are connected through YouTube. You can send your questions or comments in the chat. Maybe while we are waiting for possibly other questions, maybe Silvia, you had another question, isn't it? Maybe it's the moment for you to ask it.
Okay, yes, go ahead. it was actually about communication as such, because we could see so many campaigns for employees, but also external communication about these topics. So my question was more a curiosity: how do you create synergies between internal, external campaigns? Are you using employees as faces for the external campaigns, and so on?
Yeah. So for us, it's not that much difficult to develop integrated communication plan, especially with media, because we are in the same department. So we are not in the HR department. Often the internal communication is the HR department, is a kind of longa manus of the HR. In our case, we are with media. So we do the staff meeting together. We are exactly aligned on topics. So for us, it's normal when there is a news for outside to communicate it also inside. Honestly, nothing goes outside. If it's sensitive, that is not communicated inside before. And we try to do our best also with the brand department, even if it's not under the same hat in terms of organization. But for us is really easy in this way as a corporate communication department. Also, lately we structure it in a better way the fact that, especially for the communication on social network, we prepare the contents and then we give the contents to the employee in the role, let's say, of ambassador. So we post the content on LinkedIn and then we say, we launch this type of stuff, be ambassador, here you find the content to be shared. In this way is very easy for them, and mainly you don't have the risk that people do a communication that is not aligned in terms of content, tone of voice, brand guideline, and whatever. So you have a consistency that is definitely required from a big international global brand as our one.
Okay, thank you. Really interesting. I think it's a successful approach also,
Yes.
because you have consistency, you have credibility.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
No, because actually in the past we copied with this type of problem that, you know, whoever was entering in LinkedIn and maybe with the wrong logo, with, I mean, not define in a proper way content. Maybe the content there was, but, you know, we are also sophisticated. So they were doing communication or maybe was saying sensitive data. So now in this way, also we defined, as Alessandra perfectly knows, a social media policy that has been launched a couple of years ago. are a person that brought value and commitment into the organization, 9 months doesn't change anything. You have your team, and I live personally this situation. I took all the 9 months also because I had twins, so I need to stay at home. And when I came back, I was exactly in the same position, and also women in position higher than my one. A lot of women at the same experience. Any substitution?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Time goes really fast as usual, but there is another question in the chat, Alessandra, and I'd like to ask you this question for a very quick answer. The question is, do you have a culture of hiring foreigners to work in Vodafone Italia, or only Italians are working there?
Another good question.
Yes, what is the working language? Very important.
Yes, thank you for the question. Honestly, 10 years ago, we were a total Italian company, but this was in fact an issue on the table. For example, Vodafone UK is not at all a British company. It's really full of people coming from all around the world. It's full of Italian, German, Indian, because we have an important branch in India, South African, people from Qatar. Is really a melting pot culture, the UK offices. In Italy, definitely not. Also in Spain, it wasn't like this. I mean, it was very similar to us, Germany. And I can say that lately, because of we were aware about this fact, we hire, I mean, not so many, but the number of foreign is definitely increased. I can say some 100 people are foreign nowadays, both young and senior people. Give you 2 examples. The chief of, because I want to be concrete and transparent, the chief of big data, Daniel Rodriguez, is a man, is a guy from Argentina. Nuno Taveira, the head of IoT, is from Portugal, and person in finance, Agnieszka, I don't remember the surname because it's difficult to pronounce, is from Czech Republic. And then there are a lot of young, 2 girls, for example, from Iran at our floor. Then there was a guy from Oxford, then some Turkish girls. Yes, so I can say this around me. I'm saying I'm not giving you the official number. I'm giving you, for example, the girls working with me. About the language, this is a point, because normally people hire in Vodafone because it's a British company speaking English. They're able to speak in English. So of course, if we hire a person from abroad, they should speak a good English. And if you handle a position in communication, of course, you should speak also Italian, because in Italy we communicate in Italian. But for example, the official language in some foreign country is not their local language, is English. So if you know English, is enough. If you want to go from Spain to Qatar, you don't speak the local language of Qatar, the Arabic they speak in Qatar, but English is enough. It depends. Egypt, the same. They were using English. Turkey use Turkish. In Italy, we use Italian. It depends. But English is taken as granted.
Thank you so much. Maybe there are some other questions, but our time is over. So from my side, thank you so much, first of all, to Alessandra Teruggi and Vodafone for sharing with us her experience. Thank you to our discussants, Silvia Ravazzani and Luca Quaratino. Thank you to all the staff that supported the organization of this event. And Professor Gemmo, maybe you would like to conclude our session. For me, bye-bye, and thank you to all people.
Thank you very much, Alessandra. Thank you to everyone. It has been a pleasure, as usual.
I think my favorite part about studying at the university is the international diversity that it has. It's been a really good time this week, welcome week, just bonding with them and just getting to know who they are. And I'm excited to keep on learning who they are and studying.
I really like these first 2 weeks organized by IULM. These welcome days, it's really great activities to get introduced to the Italian culture, history, and to find new friends and just to have a great start to an Italian life.
I find the city that most beautiful in the world. I've seen many places. I'm enjoying the city. I'm enjoying the food. They are lovely people. And the university, it's so good.
I've been visiting places like Duomo Square, Fashion District, and so many other places, including churches and cathedral. Beautiful. One of the most beautiful cities in the world.
I went to the Scalas. I've seen the Duomo, his castle, and the paintings of Leonardo da Vinci. Really, really impressive. And hopefully, at the end of my master's, I hope to be able to speak Italian as an additional international language.
I chose Milan because it's a very international city. It's very cosmopolitan. It's just a perfect place for young people. I chose IULM because it's a perfect university for the degree. It's perfect for media and communications, languages. I love it.
Yeah, welcome back to the second part of this afternoon dedicated to lectures inside the Autumn International School organized by IULM as part of the project of IULM Flow. And as I was remembering in the first part, all students that are watching us, that are following our lectures, can write their questions, doubts, and comments on the chat box, so that at the end of this lecture, I will share them with the professor so that you can have all your questions answered and get all the information, all the doubts you need. And so now we're ready to, we can try without mic, so maybe it's better for the sound. Okay, so we're ready to start for the second lecture that will be carried out by Professor Andrea Miconi, who is a professor of sociology of media, and his main research fields are, for example, critical internet theory, history of media and cultural industries, and the role of media in the Mediterranean system. So this was just a very short introduction, and the lecture is titled Digital Surplus, 3 Challenges for Digital Labor Theory. And thank you for the attention, and I leave the floor to Professor Miconi. Thank you.
Gabriele, mi senti? Can you hear me? It was very noisy on my side. I don't know if everything is working. I couldn't hear you actually. So maybe we have to check.
Is it better now?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Perfect.
Okay.
So I just introduced here for the lecture that is titled Digital Surplus, 3 Challenges for Digital Labor Theory. And so after this very short introduction, I just pleased to leave you the floor so that you can highlight us with all your contents and details. So thank you.
Thank you very much. So I can start, I guess. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. I will share my screen for showing you some insights into the presentation, which is this one. And okay. Can you see the slide, Gabriele?
Not yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
Anyhow, okay, thank you. Thank you very much. It's my first time here in the IULM Flow, so I'm very happy to be here with you. Actually, I will try to be short and to save some time for the discussion, as my speech will be a very theoretical one. So I hope you will enjoy this, and I hope this will be in line with the overall IULM flow. Obviously, any university is made of many differences, among other things. And the difference in my case is that I'm mostly working in this period, in this moment, on this digital surplus idea, which basically means we are trying, I am trying, but there is a whole network of so-called digital labor theory across Europe. We are trying to analyze the economic profile of the network society against the backdrop of critical political economy, which basically we have to root back to the first book of Capital, 1867. Which is the idea? The idea is that digital labor is the fact. That obviously from the point about digital labor is not simply that, yes, obviously, an increasing number of people is working for digital economy or for activities related to digital economy. This is not a theory, this is a state of fact. People do jobs of any kinds in digital economy, which means mediation, which means gig economy. Well, you know what I'm talking about, all social media activities and more. This is not our point. The point and the focus is not that simply people work for digital companies, but that human work is still the main source of value for digital economy. And this is the difficult part. The main source of value, which means the main source of value is the exploitation of some part of human labor on the part of digital companies. How is that? Obviously, this is not the mainstream interpretation of the network society and the mainstream interpretation of digital economy. Digital economy is mostly told to be about data. And data is not exactly the same as human work. Digital economy is told to be something immaterial, post-industrial. Well, there's a big misunderstanding about this, and maybe we will have time to deeply consider this issue. Digital economy is told to be about free exchange and participation, and people freely uploading contents on the web. And digital economy is told to be about technology, obviously. It is about technology. It is about the algorithm, and we know that, as if technology had a proper life. which is not the case. So the fashionable, the most diffused interpretation of digital economy is not based on the labor value issue, which obviously lies at the heart of Marx and his critique of political economy. So the challenge for this very theoretical perspective is to show how behind all these things, behind data, behind user-generated contents, behind the algorithm, behind technology, there is still human work. Generally speaks that in the so-called post-Fordistic stage of its accumulation history, what capital is doing at the global level is not replacing labor, is rather hiding labor, which means this economy is still based on human labor and human time, which will be my main point. We are no longer in the condition of seeing this work. The work in the Foxconn factories, which are after the well-known outsourcing politics in south of China. The so-called free labor, unpaid labor of people uploading contents on the web. So the challenge in this perspective is to show that even though we are not able to see the work is still human work, human labor is still the main asset, is still the main source of value and plus value in digital economy. In order to do so, what we need is to understand what capital is and what the keyword capital in Marx refers to. I was saying labor is still the main source of value, and this is not how we used to look at global economy and network society. For this reason, I will today basically consider three main objections, three main counter arguments to the digital labor hypothesis, which means the most current and credited ideas about digital economy. As I was saying, this is a short bibliographic reference for my speech. As I was stating, the idea that digital labor is still the main source of value is not usually accepted, because generally speaking, the idea is that this digital economy is based on something else and on something more. Well, we have mostly three hypotheses, three theories to deal with in this perspective, which have to do with three main issues. The first one is the so-called free economy. So the point is, labor is at the core of the system. How is that? When we have the free economy, when we no longer have to pay for so many contents of services on the web. This is mostly Yochai Benkler's idea, and I guess you know I'm talking about Yochai Benkler, which is one of the most influential authors and scholars in the field of internet studies, and Chris Anderson. Then we have a second idea, which is a widely accepted idea. This economy, this system is no longer based on human work. It is rather based on data. So this is a post-labor, a post-capitalist stage due to the fact that we have the free, due to the fact that we have big data, due to the fact that we have the so-called platform ecosystem, which is, I have to say, the most fashionable interpretation of contemporary internet society. And I think it's totally wrong, by the way. This will be my point. So, generally speaking, the idea behind the digital labor hypothesis is that the framework the framework we are considering is still valid for analyzing digital surplus and digital surplus value. How is that? Is something we have to explain. Obviously, I'm talking about Capital, the first book, and the well-known chapter 6 unpublished, which is around 1867. So we are talking about 123 years before the very invention of the web, 1990 in Switzerland. Tim Berners-Lee, well, you know that. How is that? We have what Capital is about. And I will try to do so by considering the three main and most popular objections and counter-arguments to my theoretical field. First hypothesis, we have the three. The three is Yochai Benkler, the three is Chris Anderson. Which is the idea? The idea, according to Yochai Benkler, which is a very popular scholar, is that we are in a sort of post-capitalist era in our history. Given that, yes, we have production, we have industry, we have factories, we have capitalism, but along with capitalism, according to Benkler, we have something else, which is the free will of people uploading and sharing contents for free. So the point is, are we allowed to use capital and to deal with the labor value issue once we are in this new ecosystem in which an increasing number of contents and services are available for free, which is real. An increasing number of contents are available for free. My favorite example with my students is Google Maps. Nobody knows how expensive it might be to have a very detailed map on the whole planet. It's impressive. And this impressive and very useful tool is uploaded and available for free. Yes, this is a fact. We have the free. So according to Benkler, according to neoliberal, according to Californian interpretations, such as Chris Anderson's, the idea is that once you have something for free without price, you do not have to pay anything for services and contents. This means that we are no longer in a capitalist market likely to be analyzed according to labor value hypothesis and Karl Marx capital. Why are they wrong? They are wrong because I was saying it's not difficult to understand what the internet society or the network society is. It is difficult to understand what capital is about. So their idea, first objection, we have too many things for free. And this would invalidate the idea of labor value because there is no longer price regulating human activities and human exchange. So not accidentally, Yochai Benkler and Chris Anderson and so many other scholars are mostly using the metaphor of the gift economy. And the gift economy means, well, it's the result of a free activity. People which on a totally free will basis share contents, gift, exactly as it was usual in some societies discovered by cultural anthropology some decades ago. The metaphor of the gift economy, which is the opposite of capitalism, obviously. It's the opposite of capitalism. There is no profit. There is no price. There is no selling for money. So my point is, they literally write, like many other people, that this being the free market, we should no longer refer to the capital. And this is a big theoretical mistake, because capital, if we go back to the very theory of capital, and then Karl Marx, 1867, has nothing to do with price. That's my point. Obviously, what Marx could not see in London in the 1860s is the free offer, is the possibility of having so many services and products and commodities not for free, but which is what Marx rather did witness and took into account in the first book of Capital is the very beginning of this process. And the process has to do with a sort of paradox, which is here in the chapter 4 of the first book of Capital about the so-called relative surplus value, where the idea is the solution. Why does the capitalist strive to depress the exchange value of commodities? How can you interpret a tendency which Marx is witnessing right back in 1860s to the decrease of the prices of commodities on the market? This is a paradox. No? This is a paradox. This is a paradox as long as you consider capitalism based on selling commodities for money, which is a totally acceptable definition of capitalism, which is not Marx's definition of capitalism. Because according to Marx, capitalism has nothing to do with price. Why are companies stressing this tendency and accepting to lower the price of commodities on the market? Because this is the result of another process we cannot obviously witness, on the other hand, which is basically to reduce the amount of time for which the worker is paid, which is relative surplus, and obviously increasing the amount of time for which the worker will not be paid, which is the very original definition of surplus. This is surplus. So why commodities are for free? If we stress this framework provided by Marx in 1867, why are so many commodities for free? Well, this is obvious. This is very obvious. Because so many people are working for free in the digital economy. Because user-generated contents are mostly uploaded for free, which is what in international literature they use the concept of free labor, which was invented by Tiziana Terranova in 2001. Free labor, which means people working for free. It's not really a proper definition, as we have to consider that in Marx, free labor refers to the work performed by the worker in the factory, which is free as it is opposite to the so-called forced labor of slaves in previous and historical accumulation methods, which he was working on. So free labor, unpaid labor is a better definition for that. So is the idea of the free gift economy, or from a leftist perspective, the common? Well, the commons. Well, why is the free a challenge to digital labor theory? No, because it's pretty normal. It's pretty normal because capitalism, by definition, has nothing to do with price. My first point. Second point, well, we no longer have capital based on money, work, labor. We have a system which is based on the control of big data. I will give you a couple of examples. This is a very popular book, Victor Mayer-Schemberger and Thomas Rang, Reinventing Capitalism in the Age of Big Data, which is a very ambitious title, even more ambitious than my speech, I have to say. The shift away from price. This is a monumental change, separating the payment from the information. Money-based markets no longer exist. In their idea, we have moved from being, with quotation marks, from being a money-rich economy to a data-rich economy, from money-rich economy to data-rich economy. So their idea is that at the core of the system, we no longer find money. At the core of the system, we find data. This is another quotation from the very same book. With the help of data, we have a future which is no longer capitalist in the sense of power concentrated by the holders of money. So their idea, which has in their idea, these data-driven markets, and obviously, at the descriptive level, obviously we are talking about data-driven markets, this is sure. The idea is that, well, Karl Marx is wrong, so they wouldn't agree with me. Adam Smith was right. Well, there's nothing incorrect in saying that Karl Marx has been proved wrong many times, several times. Not this time. Not this time. Not that I dislike Adam Smith, which is, it's a giant in the economic history. We know that, economic theory history. Let's look at this statement. Let's consider this statement, and let's take it for serious. Which is the idea? We have data rather than money. So this is no longer a capitalist system, the web economy, the economy of the network society, the digital economy, in the sense of power concentrated by the holders of money. While considering the first objection, the idea of free as a sort of new cultural and even anthropological paradigm in human exchange, I pointed out that such authors as Yochai Benkler and Chris Anderson and many others are wrong because unlike in their interpretation, the theory of labor theory is not based on price. So there is no reason to consider this system different from a capitalist system simply because you have something for free. This is something you can easily understand. You can easily understand upon that theoretical schema. Which is the point here? Let's go back to the quotation. And this is a very common misunderstanding. We no longer have capitalism because the power is based on the control of data rather than on the control of money. Well, as paradoxical as this may seem or sound, I have to say, this is not capital, again. This is not capital. Capital has nothing to do with price, point one. This is very clear in Marx. Point two, which has to do with this second argument, a very common argument. Capital has nothing to do with money. This is totally false. So guys, nice try, but you will have to try again. Which is the point? Capital has to do with the control of money. Yes, for sure. But this is the capital in the sense, I'm pretty sure you know what I'm talking about. This is capital in the sense of Thomas Piketty. I'm talking about his world bestseller, Le Capital of XXIe siècle. And Piketty's book is of fundamental importance for analyzing the income distribution. It's a fundamental book. It's a book about heritage. It's a book about financial asset. It's a book about patrimony. That is capital in the sense of Piketty, money. Capital, according to Marx, has not necessarily, by definition, to do with money. This is a big mistake. Capital with Marx has to do with something else, which will be my point. Capital with Marx has to do with something else. Again, this is a very popular book, Nick Couldry and Ulysses Mejias, The Costs of Connection. They share the very same position as as Meyer-Schemberger, with the idea that we are now living a new what they call data colonialism, which means the discovery of new forms of raw material, which is data. This segment of history is driven by the discovery and the control of data. And they work on this analogy between historical colonialism, so European colonialism starting dated back in 16th century, and the discovery of new form of raw material, which is data. So what the Spanish discovered in America was a whole set of new resources. Natural resources. Now we have the discovery of a new resources, which is the base of this new colonialism. Obviously, there is a big mistake. We had a conference with Kuldry and Mejias for the Fondazione Feltrinelli a couple of weeks ago, and we had the chance of discussing this issue. Obviously, there's a big flaw in this idea. The analogy between historical colonialism and contemporary colonialism no longer makes sense when you consider that data are not raw materials, unlike natural resources appropriated by the Spanish and the Portuguese and the Dutch and the British in America. As the American scholar Lisa Gittelman once pointed out, raw data, the very expression raw data, which you can find here, is an oxymoron. Data are built by someone, by a person, by a machine, which in its turn has been built by human workers. And this is the point. Behind data, exactly as behind the free, we have human labor. Why are they wrong about this idea? The idea that when you replace data, when you replace money with data, you have a post-capitalist condition. Because capitalism, according to Marx, is not based on money. We can go back, but well, I will give you these slides to a very important part of Marx's work, which is the so-called draft of the chapter 6 of the first book of Capital, which dates back to 1864, even though it was discovered after the publishing of the first two books of Capital. Anyhow, which is the idea? This is an idea you can find in Capital. This is an idea you can find in Waged Labor and Capital, which is another very interesting work by Marx. The idea is that capital is not based on money. Money is a crystallization of something else. And this something else is the very condition, the necessary to capitalist exploitation. And this condition has to do with, this is a very typical expression in Marx, with the so-called primitive accumulation. The moment of primitive accumulation, which is the very beginning of capitalism as a social, economic, technological system, is the moment in which something of fundamental importance happens, which is, and it's a social process, it's not an economic process. It's the split, the separation between the work as a human activity and the control of material means which are necessary to that activity. Once you have this split between labor and capital, which means between labor and machine, between labor and the power of factories, you have capital. This is the point. Capital is based on the appropriation of human time on the part of companies. So, why are they wrong? They are wrong exactly because they are stating that capital is based on the control of money. Nowhere in Marx does it say that capital is based in the power concentrated by the holders of money. In Marx, capital is based on a social process, which is the dispossession, which means the appropriation of human labor, because once the worker is no longer in control of the material means, he or she has to work for a capitalist, which means the split between your activity and the control of the material means which you need for this activity, which is totally different from what the primary economy of farmers was based on. Each worker was in control of the material means. Once you have this separation between work and the control of production means, which is the right keyword for that, you have. So first, the first counter-argument was, well, be serious. Why are you talking about Marx and capital? We have the free. This is not an objection, as capital in Marx is not based on price. Why, second point, are you talking about capital and Marx once you have data replacing money? Because capital, according to Marx, is not based on money. It's not based on money. We'll go back to this point in the end, and I will conclude my presentation with a third hypothesis. I hope this part of the speech will not be too technical. I will try to be as simple as possible. The third point, the third challenge we have to accept in order to build a critical theory based on the digital labor hypothesis is that of the so-called platform society or platform economy. Well, if you are interested in the internet studies, in the general field of media studies, you know that according to current literature, basically it's all about platforms. Everybody's talking about platforms. Apple is a platform, Facebook is a platform, Uber is a platform. Well, everything will be platformized, this expression. Here we have a different point we have to consider, which is the continuity or the discontinuity between the industrial economy, which is based on that separation between production means and labor as a human activity, discontinuity between this regime and the regime of the platform society or platform economy. There's a new problem here to deal with, which is a huge contradiction in the very definition of platform economy. I will try to highlight. Okay, the idea behind the platform society, I will go straight to the most popular definition. We have different versions of the platform society hypothesis. We have that of Zuboff or Zuboff. We have that of Cernisek. We have that of Tarton Gillespie, which is the most based on economic issues, and we have the most popular one, at least in Europe, which is that of Van Dijk, Pell, and Deval, which try in their turn to consider to affirm that this platform society or platform economy is something different from traditional capitalist economy, in the sense of Marx. Which is their idea? Basically, the idea is that platforms, all digital platforms, are based on data, and their definition of data is that one, a mechanism of commodification which basically transform all objects into tradable commodities. This definition is very similar to the traditional definition of commodification according to Marx. Capital appropriates any item, any moment of human life, and constantly tries to convert these moments of human lives into a commodity. This is the idea of commodification. Okay. Then what? Then, according to them, we have the platform itself. Platform is fueled by data. This is one of the 4 main points according to the definition. And then they put all data into this system, which is the platform. Let's consider their definition of platform. I will try not to be too technical here and not to be too boring. Their definition of platform is that of a system which we can consider as a form of multi-sided market. Platform is a multi-sided market. Which is the problem in this idea? That to some extent they retrieve the original Marx concept of commodification and try to combine this concept with idea which is not compatible with the original idea of commodification. Which is my point. The definition of platform is that of a multi-sided market, which means a sort of multi-entry system, which is the regulator, a not neutral regulator, which is the platform is the field. Is a market multi-sided where different players, the regulator, the different players, the seller and the buyer, the offer and the demand meet in that digital space. This is quite reasonable, but this is not compatible with the definition of commodification. Obviously, we are talking about commodification in that sense, what you find in this slide, which is a very specific interpretation of the history of commodities, because there's another word for this, which is the word commoditization, which is the technical neutral word for saying that in a market you have to sell commodities, to produce and sell commodities. This is plain, this is easy. They are not using this, they are using Marx's idea of commodification. And then they put this idea of commodification in a multi-sided market. I will be short here. According to multi-sided models, which are basically the final evolution of some network economies models, the idea is that different players, for instance, companies which are in competition among the others for selling the best item or the less expensive or item or whatever, meet in this place. This will make the difference. The offer and demand, the buyer and the seller meet in this space, and this will make the difference in terms of the so-called marginal cost. Is this realistic? Yes, no problem with that. Is this compatible with that idea of commodification? It's not. It's not, because according to Marx, and once again, Marx is very clear about this, once again, the idea of labor is based on the appropriation of human time, which means appropriation, the creation of surplus value, the creation of value according to Marx does not take place in the market. It takes place before the market stage. Literal expression used by Marx takes place in the background. Once you are in the market, the plus value is already embedded in the commodity you are selling. This is very clear in Marx. Value is based on the separation between labor and the control of digital means. Obviously, today we have the new version of this, which is the hierarchical organization of the relation between the client, which is the user, and the server, which is the production means we need to have for uploading contents of the web. This is exactly that kind of split. Value is appropriated behind the scenes with the separation, with the so-called primitive accumulation. Then you have the conversion of value in money, which was the previous point. Therefore, value has to do with the primitive accumulation and the separation between work and production means, and the conflict between labor and capital, which comes as a consequence of that. Then we have the conversion of value in money. This has to do with the conversion in price. The conversion in price has no longer to do with the labor capital issue, has to do with the productive capacity of the system. And then we have the variations in time of price, which in Marx lastly has to do with the relation between offer and demand. The variation of the price, not the price itself. So, according to the multi-sided model, the encounter between different players, offer and demand, makes the difference. According to Marx, this encounter in the market does not counts for nothing, because value is appropriated well before the market stage. Which is the point? Very shortly, I will try to recap the main contents and go straight to the discussion if you are interested in having a discussion with me. Which is the point? We have three main counter arguments which are widely accepted in contemporary debate, which are totally wrong. I'm not stating that they are wrong and I'm right. They are wrong in their interpretation and in their use of Marx. Obviously, Marx is not the only author. I do believe that Marx is the most useful one, but this is totally questionable. But for sure, once you need to state that we are overcoming that system based on labor, capital, and value, well, you have to face reality and you have to take Marx for serious, which has not to do with a simple, I used to say, a stylistic use of Marx. I will quote Marx, but to be honest, I'm pretty sure that many of them, I'm pretty sure that they didn't read Marx, to be totally honest. So, which is the point? Marx is a solution, is a tool for analyzing something which, in conclusion, I consider very important, which is the role and the part of human labor in digital economy. This is something I'm honestly sure about. Digital economy is not based on the algorithm, is not based on robots, is not based on data, is based on human labor behind all this. With this respect, I have to say, despite all debates and ideas about technological unemployment and about well, the robots, automation, if we look at all statistical data we have, for instance, coming from the European Commission or from the World Bank, to be totally honest, there is no evidence of technology replacing human work. There is evidence of digital technology deeply impacting human work. This is the point. Human work has become something different because of precariousness, because of outsourcing, and because many things we are aware of. This has to do with the tendency of late capital to basically displace labor and to hide labor, which means we are used to consider digital economy as an immaterial economy while using very material devices such as the one which is built in some factories, usually in Southern Asia and the more. So obviously, I do believe that Marx is the best analytical tool, is the best we can find for analyzing this. This is an idea. What I'm really sure about is that we have to face reality and we have to deal with the evidence of human labor still being at the center of digital economy. Okay, I don't know if I it was too long. I would like to, okay, basta. I will leave it there for the moment. Grazie. Thank you very much. Gabriele, ci sei? Te ne sei andato?
Thank you for your contribution. It was really interesting. And I also saw that in the chat box, we had some interventions from the students that were following us. And first of all, I'd just like to say that we are sorry for some technical problems that we issued. and we faced during your lecture. This means that the presentation was not to be seen, but as I was already writing in the chat box, the students will receive them with the email at the end of the Autumn International School next year.
I didn't know.
Yeah, this was a problem, but they get the details and the presentation you created.
Sure.
And switching to the questions, a student writes, how do you comment Marx's thesis that capitalism is its own grave digger?
Sorry?
So the question was, how do you comment Marx's thesis that capitalism is its own grave digger?
I didn't get. Is it so? Because
Grave
it's because of the mask. Can you write the question?
Sorry. How do you comment Marx's thesis that capitalism is its own grave digger?
Grave digger. There's a big misunderstanding about this. I think we have to we have to consider that it's very easy to pick a single quotation in such a wide scientific production as Marx. To be totally honest, the idea of the grave digger and the idea that capitalism will come to an end, this is a very common interpretation which has to do with the political use of Marx. I'm not dealing with. I use Marx I am a sociologist, and I use Marx as a social theorist. Which is the point? This idea has usually to do with the so-called falling rate of profit, which is a very common concept in capital. But the falling rate, again, nowhere in capital, Marx does it say that capitalism will come to an end due to the falling rate of profit. If you go back to that chapter of Capital, Marx is very clear about the falling rate being a problem, being an endemic problem for capital, but on the very contrary, falling rate of profit being balanced by many other solutions typical of capital accumulation. So it's not true. It's not the idea that Marx tried to predict the extinction of capitalism. This is the Lenin's idea of Marx for obvious political purposes.
Okay, thank you. And the following question is, will free labor affect the money flow on the basis that you don't get money for the work you do?
Yeah, that's the point of free labor. Our colleague Tiziana Terranova was the first one to invent this definition back in 2000, 2001. And the idea is, according to Capital, free labor is not exactly a proper definition. I would prefer unpaid or unwaged labor. Yes, that's the point. That's the point. Some people get money and revenues for their online activities, such as the influencers, but those are the exceptions, basically. The work of uploading contents is basically for free. But again, if you take this for serious, you can easily understand why capital is based on labor, on the time of people uploading contents for free, rather than on contents itself, on data. I will try to be very short on this. If capital was really based on data and contents, why would companies not simply produce data with their powerful tools, machine learning, and so on? Why is TripAdvisor waiting for you to review a pizzeria? And they are not using the algorithm. Why is Instagram waiting for people to upload pictures rather than directly produce artificial pictures with AI software? Because value is not in data and contents. Value is in the time of people producing them. And we go back again to labor and value.
Yeah, thank you. And the last question we have is, as dominant in Europe, can forces of new left wing combine digital labor with human labor in a useful way?
Well, I don't know what is typical of, let's say, new left. Contemporary left is to mostly care about the so-called human rights rather than to labor issues. This is a well-known shift everybody is aware of. Obviously, how to build the political side of the discourse, how to build a political awareness. Honestly, I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea. There are some authors trying to do both, such as Carlo Formenti in Italy and Christian Fuchs at the international level, with the idea of sort of federation of and YouTube. I mean, from my personal side, I don't think that is realistic. But honestly, I don't know. On the political perspective, I wouldn't know.
Okay, thank you.
Grazie.
And so actually, this was our last question. So maybe we can wait a couple of minutes if some students would like to share their thoughts, their feelings, their questions and doubts. And or if you would like to add some information, some topics that maybe you mentioned before that you'd like to deepen.
Me? Sorry.
Yeah, maybe.
No.
Yeah, I was wondering if you maybe have some topics, some questions that you'd like to deepen while we wait for some questions.
No, I mean, it's up to them. If they are interested in any issues, questions, I'm totally available.
Yeah. So we can wait a little bit, and in the meantime, I can just remember students. Oh, wow, a question just came in. So what will be the solutions for these free contents? What's the opinions on this?
This is very difficult due to the way the system is actually set up. The very original version of a digital hypertext on which the World Wide Web, the web will be based, was very different. That was went by another name, but the idea was to have the possibility of tracing any single content, so that the user responsible for any single content would be paid. This is the first idea, the idea of a sort of micro payment for each contribution, which obviously is a strange solution for a real problem. And the problem is that on the web, monopolist forces, which basically are distributors of contents, such as Google or Facebook, they are not producing contents. All the profit is in the end on the part of distributors. And people are not granted any money for their contents. So basically, the first solution would be a very different architecture, allowing anyone to be paid, I don't know how many cents for a post. This is not realistic. The second possible solution, which in my there's another solution. The other solution, that's Christian Fuchs' idea, is the idea that national authorities and national institutions should invest in digital economy and build public architectures based on different rules. This is a political idea, so everybody can easily agree or disagree with that, but it's totally not realistic. This is totally not realistic. Once you have a monopoly on the site Facebook, Instagram, in different fields, we have monopolies. It's not realistic. It's not possible for a state to replace with a public system that private system we are eventually used to. The third solution, in my opinion, is the only realistic solution, is that we don't have any solution for unwaged labor. as long as people are aware of that, as long as people are available to produce contents for free, there is nothing you can do. What you can do is not upstream. It's maybe, and this third solution would be my favorite solution, is downstream. And this would be a very huge web tax, because basically these giant monopolists in the web do not pay basically any tax. You know that in Europe, all these companies have an official location in Dublin, because you know that they have fiscal advantages in Ireland rather than in continental Europe. But in my opinion, this would be the only solution. There's no way to change. There's no possibility for us or for anyone, even for the most powerful state in the world, to change the way the system is built and set up. You can try to counterbalance that with a fiscal imposition, which would be my solution. But again, this is totally questionable. This is not sense.
Okay, thank you. Then we have a couple more.
Grazie.
So the following one is, what are the possible implications of these new digital labor markets for employment and wages? Do they create new jobs or simply crowd out existing ones?
Both. I'd say both. What we are, I will say this again. Despite the widely accepted idea of technological unemployment, which, by the way, was a theoretical definition invented by, well, we have to go back, invented by John Keynes back in 1929. But the point is that in the very end, as I was saying, there is no evidence of technology replacing human labor. But we have a huge evidence of technology deeply changing the nature of job, which means the form, which means the legal aspects, which means precarious work rather than stable work. We have to say, I will give you a couple of examples. Why, in some cases, companies are not investing in machines. I was saying that there is no evidence of machines replacing men. This is science fiction. And in many cases, I know that this may seem strange for you. In many cases, this is why some machines, which are actually possible, which do exist, would be more expensive than human labor. That's the point. In some cases, I just happened to read an article about some Amazon warehouses in which they are replacing some robots with human workers, because robots are more expensive than people. So the point is, what we are witnessing in our societies is a deep change of the very nature of the work, with a growing opposition, which is a main problem, which is a big social, economic, and political problem, which is a growing opposition between a bunch of a very few qualified and well-paid jobs, and 90% of people which will have precarious and low-paid jobs. This is the problem. This is the problem in digital economy. This is the reason of some conflicts rising, for instance, in the Bay Area, no? Where you have a bunch of people working for digital economies and all the others which basically are forced to leave the cities which are too expensive for a normal person.
Thank you. And another one says, in Latin America, we are so used to download free music, movies, softwares, and we are told that if something is free, we are the product, capital letter. Our information is sold to other companies. So the companies are making money for that, but not paying properly to their employees. Is that true?
They have a decreasing number of employees usually. Cultural industries is one of as a sector, is really suffering from that. Unemployment in cultural industry is a problem. Once you have many people available which can easily work for free, why should you still pay someone for that job? So the expression, if you are not paying, you are the product, is not that far from reality, in my opinion, yes. Or otherwise, this means, if we go back to the first part of my speech, the point is that if the product is for free, this means that the amount of time the workers are paid for is decreasing, which is relative surplus value.
Thank you. And we have another one saying, what's your opinion on robots? Do you think they'll be able to replace human force in most labor markets? And if yes, what would be its impact, its advantages and disadvantages?
Honestly, I don't know, because it's a wide-scale process, and it's very difficult to come up with a synthesis. My position, I mean, obviously, nobody knows. My position, if I have to bet on something, is that robots will not replace human job. In some cases, as I was saying, the point is the point is that human labor is less expensive than robots. For instance, this is true for all the cleaning services. Why are companies still using people to clean the office rather than using a sort of big Roomba? Because that would be really expensive. That would be more expensive than a person working, that's the average in Europe, for around, I don't know, 4 or 5 euros per hour. That's the point. By the way, obviously nobody knows. Obviously nobody knows. We can try to infer something from contemporary statistics. Obviously, it's a technological unemployment. It's a well-known issue. Sounds very reasonable, no? I mean, it's something quite convincing at the theoretical level. I have to say that I don't know why, but this is a beautiful theory which doesn't work. Because if you look at unemployment rates, let's consider Europe, we are in Europe, unemployment is a big issue where the rate is around 10, 11, 15%, which is Italy, Cyprus, Croatia, Spain, and Portugal. Which is the point. With the partial exception of France, the unemployment rate is higher where technology is less advanced. That's the point. In Germany, they have robots more than in Italy. Unemployment is not an issue. And if you consider countries in which automation is really advanced, such as Japan and South Korea, the unemployment rate is around 3 or 4%, which is usually considered as the natural, a sort of natural part of sides of unemployment which always exist. So the point is, yes, technological unemployment seems to be a logical problem. But on the practical side, we see that where they do have digital economy, automation, and robots, unemployment rate is and not higher. So my point is, I don't think robots will replace human workers.
And
sorry, Gabriele. Obviously, this is my opinion. If you are asking about Marx's position, in Marx's position, this would be not possible exactly because of the so-called falling rate of profit law, which means value can be extracted only from labor time of people and not from machines. So in Marx, this is clear.
Okay, we have a very last question that is strictly connected to the one before, and is how can we incorporate machines without jeopardizing human labor?
A
tough one.
No, yeah, it's a tough one. My point is, I don't think that machines are. I mean, we are talking about machines. Obviously, it would be silly to attach agency to machines. Machines are built and used by someone. Why machines are built and put into scene? In order to replace human labor? I don't think so. But I do think that machines are built and funded and more for disciplining human work. So in this system and upon these rules and principles, the point is exactly that machines are used in order to replace human labor, to split human labor into very elementary tasks, to make human labor precarious, to outsource industrial production. So in this sense, I think that the very intention, it's not the very intention embedded in machine is exactly to jeopardize it, to exploit human labor.
Okay, perfect. So we ran out of questions, and
okay,
we have a couple of minutes more. And I would like to thank you all. So thank you, Professor, for your lecture again. And thank you to all the students that are watching and following us. I will just remind you all that on Monday, November the 30th at 1 p.m., you will be able to attend the last lecture that will be carried out by Professor Russo. That is, of course, the last part of this International Autumn School. And going back to what has been asked during this afternoon, all students will receive an email with the links and the files, the materials in order to download them next week. So after the last session of the International Autumn School. And for every kind of questions concerning both the admission procedure and also curiosities or general questions about the university, you can reach us at admission@iulm.it, and we will be happy to help you with your doubts, your questions. And thanks again. I just leave the floor to Professor Miconi if you'd like to conclude this event, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for listening. Vai. Gabriele, ti posso chiedere una cosa? Ma il video rimane da qualche parte? C'è un canale YouTube, quello che mi ha mandato Paolo? Ok,
sì.
perfetto. Me lo do. Ok, grazie.
Grazie mille.
Grazie, bye.